Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as all three factional forces flip regional control for their people. Early on, the forces of Outcast expanded their hold on the northwestern edge of the island, but KOTT were unable to secure an interview as their manhunt for the nefarious Master Thief continues. In Weaver's Fin, however, KOTT News crews caught up with Marauder leadership on the steps of City Hall and got a few words. Congratulations on your victory here in Weaver's Fin, taking control of the Peat Moss Bog. How do you feel about your victory tonight?
It was an oddball victory because it seems like they didn't really put up much of a fight. Kind of only got one gate down and then just shoved it straight up the gut, dude. Like, that's really what happened.
Maybe they were too busy trying to get their contraband together to get out of here in a hurry.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty scummy out here. I don't know. We'll try to pretty it up.
Yeah, now that you're in charge, maybe get some mission boards going, and we can get these streets cleaned up. Maybe some fresh boards, right?
Yeah, let's get the oil machine nice and cleaned up. Oil's running, pumping out some gold.
Was there anybody out there on the battlefield who stood out in their performance tonight?
It was too short for me to notice, but as always, it's team effort. So everybody that showed up, thanks for showing up.
Well, if you've got anything coming up in the near future that you might like the citizens to know about?
No, we're just a bunch of 6-year-old gamers. I mean, here just got bit by 6-year-olds. You know what I mean?
Later, KOTT News were ringside for the heavyweight bout and spoke with the new champs after their second round knockout. Well, congratulations on your victory here in Everfall. Now the heavyweight champions of Eternum in the fort with about 10 minutes and onto the flag 3 minutes after that. How do you feel it went?
It went pretty well. We rolled through our plan and crushed the outside points, and once again on our first push at the fort, we pretty much ruled it.
I was watching it from the defender's point of view, and it looked like they were able to control the retreat, but not able to control the push that you were able to put into them. Do you think with a little bit more oomph from their side, maybe some more gear, some more practice, they'll be able to come back and take another shot at you?
I mean, they got some really great players, so I'm sure a roster can be formulated and a plan can be put in place to create some really competitive wars.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to as well. Well, I know that many members of your team tend to spar elsewhere, so I'll let you guys get to it. But do you have any intentions to continue keeping the hamlet in fair upkeep?
Of course, and we're going to hold Neverfall. It starts now, day one.
The champs were quick to begin providing leather skin rations to the citizens, available free to syndicate members daily. Turning to our ongoing coverage of our Season 1 bingo attempts, I thought I had a capital I, then realized I didn't, then tried to get a quick one, but still didn't. Looking at the weather, and once again it looks like the sun will complete another revolution around Eternum. But be on the lookout after dark when the corruption invasion forces rise up across 20% of the island. 2 more submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Up first, the Marauders of Emotional Damage assault the Covenant converts of Outcast for control of the arid desert region of Brimstone Sands. Emotional Damage taking another step on their journey towards overcoming the island. Take another go at measuring their improvements against this familiar foe. Outcast forces are riding the momentum of victory after expanding their control over the northwestern territories. They're sure to be fighting loose and with confidence. Then, the Marauders of Gorilla Town attack the syndicate members of Commit for Crown and Kingdom of the Western Monarch's Bluff. Gorilla Town forces regroup and resurge as they continue to improve themselves through trial by combat, this time seeking to crown themselves rulers of Eternum. But the syndicate members of Commit aren't ready to give up control of the monarchy just yet, so they've backed themselves onto the bluff and are prepared for their final stand. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the Marauders of Gorilla Town march into the fort of the Western Monarch's Bluff. KOTT News were on the scene immediately after the fight and spoke with the company representative about the outcome. Congratulations on your victory, man. You got into the fort with about 15 minutes to spare and one big push, two big pushes to finally get it done with 5 minutes left. How do you feel about it?
You know, John, I'm gonna be real with you. It was kind of rough here at the very beginning. There's a few of us who are like mental booming from a few East wars and some other wars that we were in. But hey, we got out there. We started realizing how like us just going into the ground is not really helping, and then we decided to just suck it up. And then we started pushing in. We got kills around the points, and then we started capping. And then once we did those two initial pushes into the fort, I saw their weak sides, and then I was able to get us to get through.
After the first initial push in there, you had to come out and regroup, and then it looked like there was a rear breach, but it's possible that you just got into the ramparts. Did you send a squad around to the back?
I did. I had two groups get sent to the back gates there for me. Once they started seeing that the gates were going down, I started seeing one of them start getting repaired, and that was just when I called for a full initial push. And I believe that push was actually a chalked push, and then I was able to respawn a lot of our guys back into their normal points, and we were able to get in for free. So, I mean, hey, it's pretty hard here as a shot caller to be able to pay attention to the entire map and try to see exactly what's going on, but we figured it out. We got into the fort, we created some space, and then we won the point. So,
yeah, indeed you did. I see Keiko. Hi, Keiko. Thanks for joining us here today. Any standout performers out there tonight?
Hello. I was standout performer, and also Jordan.
And Blind, and Voltaire.
And Soraka and One Bob, my best friend.
You know what? The entire army.
We fought like demons, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, before I wrap it up, is there anything that you might like to say to the citizens?
Quotation of the day, bark, bark, bark.
While in Pride Win, KOTT News got a reaction from a citizen on the streets. Oh, the man on the street perspective, though. Did you watch it?
I did watch it.
Tell me, what did you think? As an observer of the fight, what did you think?
I think it was exciting. I can't wait to get into a war because it looked really, really fun.
Well, I can't wait to see you guys get into a war. I've seen you guys run around the island, so when you get your squad up there and ready to go, you know, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, John, we've been growing and working soon. Hopefully we'll be up there soon. But yeah, I think it was a great victory for Gorilla Town. It was a little stumbly at first, but it was a pretty good fight.
Earlier in Brimstone, KOTT News spoke with Outcast leaders about their duel in the desert. Congratulations on your victory here in Brimstone Sands. They were able to take the outer objectives, Alpha and Charlie, but you held on to Bravo for the entire duration. Would you care to take us through the outcome?
Yeah, we just, we actually were short when we first initiated this war. We were short like 10 players, so we actually thought that the best strat would just to give up our outside points and just hold B, and that's what we did. So we just turned into a bunch of Farmer Johns and just farm out.
Oh my goodness. Well, that being the case, you must have had a few people that really stood out to only be able to hold with 40. Anybody out there you want to give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, I would have to shout out probably Brusty, Panda Uchiha, and that's about it. Mostly Panda. But that guy's been on the loose. He's kind of a weirdo. He's been coming in our company and stealing our money and then leaving, so I don't know really what that guy's doing.
With this victory, you are able to hold on to the northwest territories of the island. I see nobody's really pressuring you after this, but there is a little pressure down in First Light. Is that you, if you're willing to say?
Can't give out all our secrets, John, but I guarantee you we're not done. There's too much purple on this map, and we don't like grapes. We're here to smash.
Returning to our ongoing coverage of the Season 1 bingo track, last night's card was a capital H, plus a little bit. Turning to the weather for today, and once more, the sun will rise, the sun will cruise across the sky, and the sun will set. Then look out after nightfall as a northern cold front will descend from the mountains, giving rise to a 30% chance of corruption invasion forces. 2 more submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Covenant PVXers of Tropical House attack the Marauders of Stam Out Z for control of the rain-drenched mountain region of Morningdale. Returning to their holy land abutting the northern death wall, the Covenant set up their assault camp and prepared to reclaim their familiar regional territory. Stammout Z forces stand ready to defend the land they've been ransacking the last week, knowing that the foes that are coming will give them a battle that will test their mettle. Meanwhile, the Marauders of Iron Reavers assault the Syndicate members of Commit for the master fishing region of Reekwater. The former Great House of Iron Reavers return to reclaim a spot at the Table of 13, hand-selecting 50 of their greatest 100 warriors to represent their company in closed combat. Commit regroup after a tough fight against a tough opponent last night, shake off the fatigue of fighting on back-to-back nights to refocus on tightening up their formation plans. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the history of Eternum last night as the Syndicate members of Commit managed to maintain the master fishing port town of Reekwater. And the Marauders of Stammout Z managed to hold out on Bravo despite some big pushes and maintain control of the rain-drenched mountain region of Morningdale. KOTT News caught up with a stammed out Marauder after the battle and got their reactions. Congratulations on your victory here in Morningdale, able to keep them out of Fort Phase despite nearly getting Bravo at the end, but they didn't. Would you care to take us through your victory tonight?
Yes, so what we did was, let them have that free point. They got us with the, 1-2 combo on the A, but we pulled through at B. Nova Life, tunneling me, it's all good. All love, baby. But Stammout's on top. Review the VODs, Nova Life. Review the VODs, baby.
Yeah, Stammout, you definitely got it through tonight, for sure. Was there anybody who stood out in their performance for you out there on the battlefield?
Rasputin and the vote. Monsters on point, baby.
Mr. Exec.
Monsters.
The solid shout out for sure. Well, you're out here defending things. Do you have any expectation or aspirations to go out and try to take more land?
Yes, sir. Next stop, Fresh Bench, baby. Gotta get that ones again, baby.
Oh, look out. Shots fired, Fresh Bench. Keep an eye out, Syndicate members. Catching up with Commit leadership in Far Harbor, KOTT News were granted a few words about their fight as well. Congratulations on your victory here in Reekwater, once again retaining the region for the master fishing port town. How do you feel about your victory tonight?
Oh, I feel great about the victory tonight. You got to give it up to Iron Reavers for putting on a good try out on the field, but it feels great.
Well, they were only able to get to 1 point off of you tonight, so clearly your defense was a very sturdy one. Was there anybody who stood out in their performance for you?
Yeah, I got to give a big shout out to Lele for not sleeping through this war.
Well, hey, the event's about to wrap up. Did everybody get everything they need, and are you excited for the next one that's coming around the corner?
I think everybody got what they needed from the event. If not, maybe it's a little too late, but I'm excited for the next Spriggan event. That sounds like fun.
Returning to our continuing coverage of the Season 1 track, last night's card was an inner box for grins and giggles because KOTT News was on to a scoop. KOTT investigative teams had been granted special access to the Springtide flower sniffing cult that has been growing across Eternum. As the congregation spreads, more and more zealots embrace the mellow teachings of the flower. KOTT News was witness to a progressional of ceremonial jocularities as the citizens of the flower created their own handcrafted entertainment experience. Turning to the weather, and it looks like the sun will grace us with another day of sunshine and clear skies across most of Eternum. But look out after sundown when the temperatures drop and a slight chance of invasion will occur on the western Monarch's Bluff. 2 more submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. First up, the Covenant smugglers of Error.pxp assault the Syndicate members of URP What You Sow for control of the island's secondary oil reserves of Cutlass Keys. Error.pxp returned to Cutlass Keys to re-secure some form of good to either ship or be shipped by so that they can find a way back into the import-export businesses of the island. Inconveniently cut off and isolated from the rest of the Syndicate, You RP what you sow will have to rely on local resources to overcome these proselytizing zealots. Later, the Covenant converts of Outcast 2 assail the Marauders of Gorilla Town for control of First Light and the flow of the spice. Outcast 2 seek to set up a flanking position around Gorilla Town's principal holdings, attempting to simultaneously secure the island's hyssop and spice production facilities. But with a late night timer, it's possible that every member of the Gorilla Town roster will be available from all over the planet in order to ensure that First Light stays green. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the forces of Gorilla Town maintain control of the flow of the spice. And the Syndicate members of Cookies for Dinner defend the crocodile-infested peninsula of Cutlass Keys. KOTT News were on the scene all night long and spoke with the victors after the war.
First bench on top, babe. Nothing special, you know, we're working on shit every single day.
Well, I saw they were able to get you down to 1 point on Bravo. They were trying to pinch you on the flank, but you were able to successfully hold the road resupply throughout the entire fight. So I would like to commend whoever your shot caller were, at least your center line. Anybody out there who stood out in your eyes, though?
You guys won?
I'm going to give a fat shout out to one of the Kill Squad shot callers, Chet. Absolute monster out there. He led us really well.
Well, do you have any aspirations to expand beyond Cutlass Keys now?
I plan on taking over this damn server. First bench, baby.
That's what I like to hear. Aspirations to take over the whole server. Well, we'll see, we'll see. Word on the street is that the temperatures begin to drop, or the spring breeze comes across, I should say. It looks like the flower is going to be no longer in bloom, but scent of the spring on the horizon. Are you looking forward to that?
I am, honestly. I'm excited for the new, you know, get a farm, do some PvE night, you know? It's a nice little mix-up.
Well, one final question, if you don't mind me asking, is there anywhere out there where people can find you, maybe on YouTube or Twitch?
Yeah. You guys can follow my Twitch, ZZ Smalls, AZIZI, Smalls, one word. I love you all. I love you, Joe.
KOTT News crews couldn't leave town right away, running into another participant whose drip was on point. So what is this, like a... It's kind of like a cross between like an Arthurian slash Egyptian... Is this part of the seasonal track stuff? I recognize the shield. Hey, Drag Dog.
Yeah, the shield and the sword I did pick up seasonally. Everything else is just dies, John. You gotta take care with these sorts of things. This is not something simply done by commoners. If you want drip like this, you've got to really invest the time and the effort, the taste, and the knowledge in what fashion is, and not everybody can do that.
You're not wrong, man. It takes a certain amount of effort to put this one. I'm going to have to run this one by Mansa. Mansa, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of this drip. I'm going to give you a close-up here.
I frankly think the biggest difference between Error, EXE, and our company here in the war wasn't the kill difference. It was the style difference, John. That's the big differentiator that most people don't understand.
Back to the action in First Light. KOTT caught up with the Gorilla Town rep to go over their late-night victory. Hey, congratulations on your victory out here in First Light, holding them off and retaining control of the spice. How do you feel about your victory tonight?
Man, it was a great war, really. It was a lot of fun. You know, fun fact, this is my first war back from a while. So good to be back in gaming and some PvP. We played well. A little bit of a farm sesh, honestly.
Well, you know, that's okay. Good session to get knock off the dust a little bit. Was there anybody who helped you stand out there tonight?
Yeah, you know, I'd like to give a big shout out to Pebbles, first of all. I mean, wow, what great shot calling, honestly. I'd like to give a huge shout out to Hutchie, you know, and Blood Ninja and Courtney and Lyle. They've really helped me gear up, get some shards, you know, get in the war. But as a whole, we've played extremely well. I mean, just perfect execution, really, across the board.
Indeed. I got to give a shout out to Hutchie, too, official ARCO intern. Thank you, Hutchie. Hey, I see that you've got on the flower sniffing outfit. The Springtide Blooms might be closing up soon, but the Spriggan event coming around the corner. Are you excited for that?
Man, I could not be more excited for the Spriggan event. Little tired out on this event, you know, farming some patterns and whatnot, but, you know, great event. Looking forward to the next one. It's been nice.
Is there anything else you might want to say to the citizens of Eternum? Do you have a YouTube or a Twitch stream that you might want to tell people about?
No link, but, you know, you should check out Hutchie's stream. That would be good for me as well. So go ahead and check out Hutchie on Fire on Twitch, and, yeah, stay safe out there, guys, you know, and keep playing.
Returning to our ongoing coverage of the flower-sniffing cult, as the seasonal blooming period comes to a close, more and more followers gather to say goodbye until next spring. In other news, KOTT Studios tried out some preliminary streaming concepts to see if KOTT 1 could handle dual responsibilities, but it seems unlikely at this time. Turning to the weather, and today looks like an easygoing final day to get as many flowers and patterns as possible, before the final setting sun gives rise to a corruption invasion force of extraordinary fighting power. Let's all give Dr. Claw a big hand! 5 roster submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Additional consideration provided by the Craft Services crew. The generous contributions of viewers like you really do help out the channel. Thank you. Tonight, the Syndicate members of JDB's Kitchen attack the Covenant converts of Outcasts for control of the arid desert region of Brimstone Sands. JDB, taking a shot at fighting in 3 alternative outings tonight, focus their offensive efforts on taking out the Outcasts in the northwest. But will they be there to defend? Despite having 2 defensive obligations, the Zealots of Outcasts are highly likely to be in the dunes, looking to enjoy this matchup against this worthy adversary. Meanwhile, the Marauders of Iron Reavers challenge the champs of JDB's Kitchen for their heavyweight title and the right to rule over Everfall. Iron Reavers smell an opportunity to take a shot at the title, and they're going for it. They'll field their top 50 performers to see how they fare in the ring. JDB's Kitchen staff, taking on the challenge while contending with a second defensive elsewhere, will have to decide exactly how important the island's bragging rights are. Meanwhile, still, the Syndicate members of Commit assault the Marauders of Stam Out Z for control of the island's primary oil reserves of Weaver's Fen. Commit turned their attention to the peat moss bog of the Fen, sizing up the enemy and making a move to secure the eastern thoroughfare of the island. But Stam Out Z have the majority of their forces holding the front line of their territory here. They have no plans on yielding backwards towards Morningdale. Simultaneously, the Syndicate forces of Looking for Shotcaller attack the Covenant converts of Outcast for control of the bamboo forest preserves of Ebonscale. Fresh off their hold of the keys last night, these loosely organized Syndicate members will do their best to gain control of the resort town, even without a shot caller. And that might just be enough, with Outcast split between 2 fights and possibly sending forces to support efforts in Windsward. But you never know until you know. But wait, there's more! As the Covenant converts of Outcast 2 assault the vault of JDB's Kitchen as they attempt to steal away the island's financial capital of Windsward. Outcast 2 have been staking the place out for a while now, and they think they've got the angle on the way to get in, without much pushback from the late-night guards. Security forces might be light tonight if JDB find themselves more interested in offense or longevity bragging rights, but never count out the security shift at this bank vault. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the inevitable result of triple declarations results in a double factional flipping. The Syndicate members of JDB's Kitchen yielding the heavyweight championship belt to Iron Reavers, who immediately begin doing road work and open world PvP. JDB were able to claim the arid desert dooms of Brimstone Sands from the forces of Outcast, who had sent their primary forces to Ebonscale. JDB forces were unavailable for comment, presumably dispatched to support the security detail in Windsward. KOTT News traveled to City Hall in Corinth, but company leadership were understandably absent. All things being equal, the closest fight of the night was in Weaver's Fen, where the Marauders of Stamout Z held off a last-minute flag push to maintain control of the Peat Moss Bog. KOTT News were on the scene and got reactions from the victors after the fight. Congratulations on your victory. A little bit of a pucker when they get inside the fort with about 3 minutes left, but you managed to push them off and get the hold, getting the gates back up except for Bravo, pushing them out. How do you feel it went?
Oh, it went, fantastic. Shout out to them. Commit. They're really good. They're in our range of expertise here. We like to fight them. We like the competition, the friendly comp. Hey, Bob the Builder. Shout out to me for being Bob the Builder. And let's keep these wars going, bro. It's GG's. Friendly all day, baby.
Right on, my man. Was there anybody else out there who stood out in their performance?
The whole company. Stamout's the whole. We pulled too. About 2 months ago, we were getting farmed, but now, look at us now. We're making our way up, There's still a lot of work we have to do, but we can pull through, baby.
While in Twillin, KOTT News spoke with a new refugee to the island about their experience thus far. Welcome to the island, my friend. I hope you're enjoying your experience.
Oh yeah, man. It's a blast.
Right on. How long you been at it?
Probably about a week now. Just enjoying the sights. I kind of regret joining the Covenant, though. It doesn't seem like they do jack.
There's a couple of companies out there. Outcast just happened to be triple declared tonight, so they are a little under the or behind the 8 ball, as it were.
Okay. Yeah, I think mostly I'm just focusing on getting to 60 before I dive into some wars.
This just handed to me. KOTT News have received reports of druids summoning giant vegetative beasts throughout the northern regions of Eternum. Citizens traveling through the north are encouraged to move in large groups until scouting parties determine the exact might of these new forces on the island. KOTT News will bring you more on this story as it develops. Returning to our continuing coverage of the Season 1 track, last night's bingo attempt resulted in a giant plus. Leave a comment below if you've had a giant plus too. Looking at the weather for today, and as the cool breeze of spring turns into the dry heat of summer, don't blame it on the sun just doing its thing. Blame it on the typhoons, which will skirt the eastern edge of the island, giving rise to a 30% chance of corruption invasion across the island. Another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Syndicate members of Bloomin' Onion attack the Marauders of Stamout Z for control of the rain-drenched mountain region of Morningdale. Bloomin' Onion forces have taken the time to prevent apoxia and set up an assault camp to lay siege and reclaim the northern forward observation posts. Stamout Z may be running on fumes after their long hold last night, but pushing their physical limits to the max is exactly the kind of fight that Marauders live for. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Breaking news out of Brimstone Sands as a turbulent magic signals the presence of a strange summoning. The citizens of Eternum responded en masse but were unable to prevent the druidic ritual from taking place. In order to prevent a catastrophe, KOTT News crews attempted to negotiate a peace. Hello, sir. JChalant, KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. Would you care to comment on your grievances? No comment. Are you acting on behalf of Adiana Theron? Unresponsive to our attempts to communicate, the druids completed their ritual, and there stood a great Spriggan creature. KOTT news crews took up a position to report on the action when we were struck from behind despite being completely uninvolved. Fortunately, the overwhelming number of citizens responding in defense were able to prevent the advance in rapid fashion. Citizens seeking to support the Spriggan Defense Squad should stand by for alert warnings in recruitment chat. KOTT News will bring you more on this story as it develops. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of adults with jobs and kids managed to re-secure the forward observation posts in Morningdale. KOTT news crews were on the scene and spoke with Syndicate leadership about the transition. Well, you were able to get into the fort. I saw that they might have had an opportunity there, but they got caught up in the respawn about the 6-minute mark. You were able to push through and capture it in the name of the Syndicate. Congratulations. Would you care to take us through any moments out there that stood out to you?
I think the big emphasis, and really we've done a lot of odd reviews on this lately, but the big emphasis that we've had is if you get a piece of duct tape, and you get a marble, and you spread the duct tape from the Q key to the E key, put the marble on the W key, it holds it down for you.
Well, you don't find yourself running through the back of the fort with that strategy?
No. You turn, John. You just turn to where you're going.
Now that you're in control of Morningdale here, you have the responsibility of defending the area. I have not seen any druids summoning that Spriggan, but is it your intention to at least maintain the Hamlet's infrastructure and upgrades?
That's a great question for leadership, John. I really just come in here to talk about the W key.
Returning to our ongoing coverage of the Season 1 track, last night's card was a convoluted mess that managed one diagonal. But we're almost to the end. With all the citizens responding to the Spriggan encroachment, KOTT news crews volunteered to supplement corruption defense forces last night, successfully preventing any breaches. Turning to tonight's weather, and once the sun completes its daily journey across the Eternum sky, be on the lookout for an even busier night, with a 40% chance of corruption invasion rising up across the island. Another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the forces of emotional damage assail the Syndicate members of adults with jobs and kids for control of the island's secondary oil reserves of Cutlass Keys. Emotional damage take another crack at capturing the Cutlass Keys and reclaiming the Marauders' mosh pit. But have they improved their skills enough to dislodge the Syndicate? The adults with jobs and kids may be signaling their responsibilities to be elsewhere tonight. But maybe someone will cover their shifts and they'll find a babysitter. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the forces of adults with jobs and kids quit work and drop off the kids at the mosh pit to find the time to hold the Southern Cutlass Keys. KOTT news crews were on the scene and managed to get a few words from union leadership.
I don't know that we have much new to share, John. The W key strategy, again, continued to work. We tried to also include a few powder kegs, but I don't know that that strategy was effective, and we should stick with our W keys.
Tell me, if you're on defense and you press W, doesn't that leave your rear flank undefended?
John, I don't know if you spend a lot of time watching flanks, but again, if you use the other keys, you can turn around and chase them back as well. So always moving forward, that's the key.
Well, speaking of moving forward, will you be moving forward into any other territories in the next couple days?
I do believe tomorrow evening there is a combat over a significant capital, which would be Everfall.
Oh, going for the heavyweight championship title. Oh, well, good luck tomorrow night in the championship bout.
I think we have a lot of confidence, and we're excited to move into it.
One more final question, if you don't mind me asking. Have you been participating in the Druidic Spriggan pushback?
John, if you look at my drip tonight, I think it's clear that I have ripped these pieces of wood off of a Spriggan with my own hands and mounted them upon my armor.
Returning to our ongoing coverage of the recent Druidic Spriggan sightings, negotiations for peace continue to fail, and there appears to be no end in sight to the conflict. What's that? This just handed to me. The forward observation posts of Morningdale predict the event will continue until June 13th. In other news, aspiring engineers familiar with Unreal Engine should be aware of an opportunity available in San Diego. Follow the link in the description for more information. World PvP erupted in Cutlass Keys last night as Error.pxp forces began pushing influence to secure a declaration attempt prior to the upcoming holiday. Last night's invasions were a bit too much to handle for the resort destination of Ebonscale, suspending some services today. Tonight's weather seems to be more manageable after the sun completes another lap around Eternum, when a slight chance of corruption invasion will arise in only 20% of the regions. Another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Syndicate members of Papa Cleanse challenge the champs of Iron Reavers for their heavyweight title and the right to rule over Everfall. After fending off the unsuspected pipeline run attempt last night, Papa Cleanse activate to retaliate by dividing the Marauder supply line through the central corridor. Iron Reavers tend to shine in large-scale conflict of the open world, but they've been improving their techniques in and around the fort and look to begin their Neverfall run. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.